got gold records. He's got platinum records. He's got CMA and ACM awards. And now a best-selling book. You can hear him here on The Dana Williams Show.
Hey, man. How about that? Yes, friends, that's us. What a goober, man. Facebook page. Bless his heart.
Here's Dana.
Oh, yes, here he is. Friends and neighbors, welcome to The Dana Williams Show. Another wonderful edition of The Dana Williams Show, I might add. I hope you've been having a good, extra good week. I have. It's been cold here in the volunteer state of Tennessee. We had a little snow, and as soon as they predict a little snow around here, the kids are out of school, and everybody's freaking out, going to the grocery store, stealing all the milk and bread. But, hey, it's all over. It's melted. It's been 24 hours, so it's all over with. But I hope you're having a good week and all that good stuff. This week, let me tell you, friends, this is a special week for Dana because I have a very special person that's here with us, very, very special guest that's here, a very good friend of mine that I have... I'm going to go ahead and use the word I've idolized since I was, you know, it's the truth. And I've told you for years. Man. But friends, I want you to make welcome Mr. Steve Wariner right here.
Dana,
how are you,
I'm
pal?
good. How you doing, man?
You know that's how I have
You're making my month, man.
Oh,
that gum you.
You know it's the truth.
Well, I've been looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun,
yes,
man.
Sir.
We just... I know that I made that call to you back before the holidays, and
yep,
thinking that this is a long shot.
Are you joking?
Well,
I
knew that you live
on the other side of the planet, pretty much. But,
and I'm thinking, man, I'll never get him out of here. But you know what?
I'm
never know till you try. And look
here I am. I'm tickled to be at the Dana
sitting.
house, man.
Yeah,
you know?
This is it right here, dude.
I love it.
If I should begin to get a little flustered today, it's just because Mr. Steve makes me a little nervous, man.
Yeah.
You're one of my heroes and have been for a long, long time. How many songs I've sung that you have recorded and had on the radio? And
well, you know what? People don't know this, I guess, but you and I have some parallels going down our little paths on our way to where we are now.
Let's start out with, first off, you're actually a bass player.
Well, it's debatable, but sitting here with you, I don't know if I ever know. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, man, you started out playing, and you correct me, but you started out at, as I was reading, 17 years old, playing bass for Dottie West.
But you know what? Honestly, I was always studying guitar and really wanting to be a guitar player. But the very first thing I ever played was an old Dan Electro bass my dad had.
Wow.
When I was a kid, my dad had this little copper Dan Electro, and he would practice with his bands at our house, and I would always grab that little bass and play along with him.
Leon Rhodes, man.
Through the wall, usually. Yeah. You're no Leon Rhodes, son.
But you remember Leon played it on the opera for years.
Man. Yeah.
Loved it.
But I really started off playing the bass, and then I learned later as I got a little older. I was 9 or 10 years old. I was trying to play one note at a time. But then I realized, wait a minute, guitar guys are playing 2 or 3 notes, 3 chords, and then I started loving the guitar and learning to play guitar. But as it came about, as I became a teenager, the jobs that always came up, like when I met Dottie West, their bass player was getting ready to get off the road, and they needed a bass player. I think his wife was having a baby. He was quitting the road, whatever. They were in need of a bass player, and they asked me if I would join, and they heard me playing and singing up in Indiana and at a club with some friends, and there I said, yep, I'm a bass player. Yep, that's the job that was available. So I go, I'll do it. Heck yeah. They had a great guitar player, Jimmy Johnson. Not the bass player, Jimmy Johnson, but the great guitar player, Jimmy Johnson. And so I jumped in and played bass.
How long was you with her now?
About 3 years, about almost 3 years.
Playing bass for her?
Playing bass. And back then it was cool. Everybody was like, man, we need a bass player. Do you sing? We need a singing bass player. Everybody needs a
to this day.
To this day, baby. But I'm but more so, I think even back then, Dana, everybody wanted to know what size you wore, because in a lot of cases you had to wear somebody else's uniform, in the hardcore old days, But luckily I never got into a lot of that. A little bit with Bob Lumen, but Dottie was a great boss. I was with her about 3 years, and
What was her? What was the Hot Records when
I joined
was it
her
Country Sunshine
yeah,
Days?
she had just she had out her biggest song. Let's see, well, she had a couple before I came along. She had some big records, but Country Sunshine she just was getting ready to do that. When I was with her, she did Country Sunshine.
For ones that won't remember that was a Coca-Cola.
Yeah, see, that was a huge deal.
That was
man.
their big commercial.
Yeah,
Was
national commercial.
a national commercial was on the Dottie West song of Country Sunshine.
That's right. It was huge, and so that was a big thing for her, and it was a great job. She taught me a lot about songwriting, and I really watched her too, just in how she handled band guys, and I really got a feel for. I knew one day down the road that I was probably going to be doing the artist thing at one point. I wanted to, so I really watched her closely, and it was a great gig. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot from her.
So you went from there to Bob Lumen?
Yep. I left Dottie after 3 years. I left Dottie, and I was out the Opry one night. I'd only been away from her for a couple of weeks, and I was out the Opry just kind of hanging, and Bob Lumen, who I'd known, and some of the guys in his band, I'd known them a little bit from doing shows with him. Bob came up and says, "Man, you got to go to the Texas with me tonight. We're leaving in a couple hours, and I don't have a bass player. You got to go play. We're just going down to Dallas and Houston and coming back." And I go,
"Was you familiar with his stuff?"
No, I knew it a little. I knew Think About Living. I'd heard it, certainly, in Lonely Women. I knew his songs kind of. I never played them, but I kind of knew them. And so I go, they were leaving like after his last Opry spot. And I go, "Sure, I'll go with you." So I jumped on the bus.
You remember his version of Satisfied Mind?
Yeah, we played it many times on the Opry. And
that was cool.
Bob was awesome. And I went down to Texas with him and wound up staying about a little over 2 years with him, and just loved. He's a great guy.
I got a little memory lane on the Bob Lumen days for you that may ring a bell and it may not.
Well, he was out here at Caldwell Drive, out here.
Yeah, I know.
Too.
He lived right out
by
here.
The Roy Orbison.
Yeah, I know the exact house.
I know
man.
you do.
They all lived right there together. Him and Roy Orbison and Cash.
I know, right in that little corner there.
But there was a gig that you played. And I hear that it was either Bob's cologne or your cologne that was attracting bees at Beach Bend Amusement Park in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
God, I remembered that. I forgot about that.
A stage on the lake.
How do you
know
about
a floating
that?
stage.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So,
and Bob was he was getting attacked and everything. Boy, they thought he was doing an Elvis bit, and he was actually just trying to keep.
So
him
it was
stung.
Bob. It wasn't your.
Yeah, it was Bob.
It was
I think
Bob.
It was Bob's cologne. Of course, back then I was pretty much just going, splashing it on, baby, trying to track those females, So it could have been me. I don't know.
Isn't that interesting?
It's hilarious.
A story like that could come around all these years.
How in the world? You must have been there or something, dude. You must have. That's hilarious.
That is good, ain't it?
Beach Bend. Yeah, I remember that.
Beach Bend Park, amusement park, which is still there.
And they're still.
They still
we
have
played there a
drag
couple
races
times.
up there.
We had a drummer get a load of this that day. I remember Beach Bend that day. We were all going like, "Hey man!" After the show, we go, "Let's go ride some rides." And we got our piano player came running up and he said, "Man, guys, the drummer we had, he actually was on the tilt-a-whirl." Now, keep in mind what the tilt-a-whirl is. It's like a little kiddie ride. And our piano player comes running up and says, "Man, our drummer, he's sicker than a dog." I go, "What was he riding? Like a roller coaster?" "No, he's on the tilt-a-whirl." I go, "Tilt-a-whirl? You got sick on the tilt-a-whirl."
Dude, need to lay off the rides,
At least
man.
lie and say it's like the roller coaster.
It needs to be something
that's deadly, not the tilt-a-whirl.
Well, that's just a little piece of trivia that I might throw out and see.
You're scaring me for the rest of the show now. What else are you going to dig up, man?
Well, you just never know. You also let me think. Now you came. For some reason or other, and I don't know why I didn't know this, but I didn't know that you was. For some reason, I always thought you was from Kentucky, but you're from Indiana.
Well, see, that's an interesting story. Harley Allen and I have talked about this too, and there's a whole bunch of these stories like us where all my people are from Kentucky, South Central Kentucky, right? Just not too far from Somerset, about 18 miles west of Somerset. But
one of my favorite towns in Kentucky, I might add.
yeah, are you? I'm looking at you to see if you're really.
No, you know I love that lake.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, yeah, I know you love that lake.
I love that lake.
Oh yeah,
there.
that's a whole nother story. That lake.
Yes, it
I
is.
love that lake too. Isn't it great? I mean, it's just
the best.
fantastic. But anyway, my folks are. My oldest brother was born in Kentucky, and then my parents are both from the same little ridge right outside of Jamestown, Kentucky. Well, after my oldest brother was born, my dad and mom, they moved to Indiana because my dad's brother had moved there for work, and he had my dad a job there in Indianapolis, so they moved to Indiana, and then all the rest of us guys were born in Indiana. So that's
you
how
and Terry,
yeah. So we were all
Indiana.
born in Indiana, but it's like I guarantee you my dad's car could go by itself down 65 and go to 61 and over to Jamestown, Russell Springs, easy by itself.
Well, I mean, any man that has, Steve Wariner Boulevard.
Well, and don't speed on that. Don't speed on my boulevard if you're going through there, folks.
You got your own road there in Russell Springs, dude.
Well, you can't speed on it, please. Only I can be speeding on that road.
But anybody can just walk up and pee on that sign.
Well, I was going to say, I'll never forget, and I still have it. I still have this great photograph of you. I think it was you and Jimmy and some of the Diamond guys.
Jimmy Olander.
And Jimmy Olander, and I think Marty, and your backs were to the camera, and you were relieving yourselves on my Steve Wariner sign. You remember I showed it to Ralph. He about had a heart attack. I showed it to him on
pulled it right on
live
TV.
television.
Yeah. That was the funniest thing.
I go, I just got this in the mail, Ralph. I thought he was going like, oh my God.
We were both on that show that night, and buddy, you pulled that out from the couch, and they didn't know how to act with that thing, man.
Isn't that great? I go, I got something to show you guys. But you know what? That is cool. That's my second hometown, I call it, Russell Springs. But they did honor me with that one stretch of the road there.
Dude, what
Steve
a great
Wariner Boulevard.
town.
Yeah, it's a cool little town. And
I run into
people are so nice up there.
I was standing in line one time to go to the movies there in Russell Springs, and somebody tapped me on it. It's Terry. He's in line to go to the movies too.
Well, there's not much to do there.
And I'm like, dude, what are you? And this was before I was hip, and he said, well, I'll live here, man.
He never has lived here. Terry always has lived. And I say, man, he's smart in a lot of ways. He never did drift from what he is and where he came from. He got him a 10-acre place, and he's never lived here. He's always commuted.
Still lives up there.
Yeah, man. He's about 5 miles from mom and dad. He's got him a cool setup up there.
Man.
He's got it going on. My baby brother, Terry's.
I love it up there, man.
He loves you, Terry. He asked about you.
I love it up there.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. That lake is.
doubt.
We used to go up and get houseboats and get out on that lake and write songs and have a good time and get back in a cove and just camp out and have a fun time and fish. And
absolutely nothing like it. Which, talking about you being from Indiana, of course, brings us up to a relationship that you have with Larry Bird.
Oh man, yeah.
You are.
Here goes that Lakers Celtics thing.
Well,
they got to do it.
There is no way this is going to pass, and we're not going to talk about.
We got to get into that. We've done it for years.
Because I met and become friends with
Magic Johnson. I bet.
Oh boy, wouldn't that be?
Would that be sweet?
But no, I know a fella named Gary Sally.
Oh, okay.
And he is very good friends with Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And he promised me. I asked him, I said, you reckon you get me a basketball signed by Larry Bird? Because I've always heard that Larry's not that excited about autographs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he's way over that.
Yeah, I think he's way over it, is what I'd heard. And he said, I bet I can get you one, And I'd see him every time we'd play up around Indianapolis. I'd see him. And no autograph. And I finally just quit bringing it up after so many months, and a year will go by, a year and a half go by. 2 years pass, and all of a sudden a box shows up at my front door, and it is a basketball signed to Dana. Best wishes, Larry Bird.
No way. That's awesome, man. Isn't that great? Yeah,
and you can bet that's up in a case.
Yeah, that's behind a lock and key.
Buddy.
You know what, though? I've always admired Bird, and he was always been so nice to me over the years, and I learned early that he's I don't know if he is still. I haven't talked to him for a while, but was a big country fan, and I loved it that he would say. He looked at me once and goes, "I really liked you. My favorite probably of yours is Your Memory." He goes, "I really like that song." I went
Really?
like, "Holy cow! I can't believe he knows
Wow.
one of my songs." And this was early on, but we used to go. The boys, to my brother Terry and TK that worked for us back years ago, and we used to go up to.
There's another show.
That's a whole
totally.
show on its own, isn't it, right there?
Just
yeah.
those 2 letters.
Yeah. Oh, he's a character. But we used to go up to the Boston Garden and just, Bird would get us seats and we'd go up there and watch some ball. Dude, we'd make a trip just to go watch a game, pick out the games we wanted to see and maybe catch a couple games and then take a bus up and come right back. Dude, not even play a show, just go up to catch games.
That had to be unreal.
A blast.
Man.
Go down the locker room after the games and hang out with those guys. It was so good, and loved that era. And
oh, man.
good times. That's back when that Lakers Celtics thing was hot and heavy, baby.
Yeah.
It was so there ain't nothing like that going on these days. I love that
And
era.
it never
It'll
will,
never
man.
be like that.
It'll never
again,
be that quick. Yeah.
I got the book for Christmas, by the way, the Bird Magic.
Oh, you
book.
did?
Yeah, it's awesome. I just started it. They got a new book together. So
Oh, I need
they got a new book out, Bird and Magic together, talking about all that stuff. So, yeah, you need to get that one.
That definitely, no doubt about it. So, anyway, we're gonna. I have, of course, asked Steve to bring some different songs that he wanted to play and this and that. And would you believe he also brought a guitar?
Just happened to.
Go figure, Steve Wariner and a guitar.
Of course, I figured you'd have a house full of them.
Well,
you got a few beauties laying around. I know.
Here and there.
Made me sick. And,
Get out. I'm talking to a man here that owns about 400 guitars.
I ain't got no 50-something old Martin like that one I just saw, though. That's a beautiful guitar,
That's a Steve Wariner birthday model.
Yeah.
That's what
I'll
it
dream
is.
about that thing.
Yeah. So anyway, this first song we want to play is one that has been, of course, one of my favorites, and I'm sure it was a big record for you.
Yeah, it was a number one. I remember we were I was getting ready to record an album for MCA with Tony Brown producing, and I was looking hard for songs, and I remember we pretty much had the album already almost picked out to record, and Randy Hart that played piano, he still plays with me a bunch. Randy Hart played piano with me back then, and he came in. He's real good friends with Bill Abounty, and he came in one day and he goes, "Hey, I want to play you a song that Bill and Becky, his wife Becky, wrote." And so I go, "Sure." I've listened to 1,000 songs, but I was going to hear another one.
Yeah.
So you know how that goes.
Oh.
And so I know you do. So he puts it in the cassette deck on the bus. We're rolling down the road, and he puts it in, and I hear that intro to The Weeknd. It was The Weeknd, and Bill Abounty was singing it, and I let it play. And as soon as I finished, I stopped the player, and I said, "Man, this song is going on hold immediately." And I got on the phone and
It's instant.
and found Tony Brown, and I said, "Man, I found a song and we have to do this song. It's just awesome." And it was The Weeknd. And I get more of anything I've done over the years. I probably get more people talking about The Weeknd as much as anything. I mean,
Dude, man.
Yeah, everybody really, this song really sticks with a lot of people, and it's one of my very favorites. Written by Bill Abounty and Becky Foster.
You want to play it? Let's
The
play it.
Weeknd.
You want to
play it. Let's do it.
Couple of days isn't a very long time. Why can't I just walk away? I used to be good at goodbye. Out on the water, under the stars, I let the moonlight play a trick on my heart. You had some fun for the weekend, but I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, I fell right over, I didn't think twice. I finally got something worth keeping, and if I can't have just for a moment, I held you too close. Now I'm all out of time and I don't wanna let go. You had some fun for the weekend, but I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, and I fell right over, I didn't think twice. I finally got something worth keeping, and if I can't have you tonight, at least I had the weekend. How much can happen in a night or two? I guess it's all depending on your point of view. You had some fun for the weekend, girl, but I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, and I fell right over, I didn't think twice. I finally got something worth keeping, and if I can't have you tonight, at least I had the weekend, and I'll be in love for the rest of my life. You took me out to the deep end, and I fell right over, I didn't think twice.
Oh, man. Steve Wariner and The Weekend. What a great song. Friends, you're listening to The Dana Williams Show right here on DanaWilliamsShow.com. And if you have just joined us, you have missed quite a bit, because this week we've got Mr. Steve Wariner here, which is, I'm a little gooey over, and he knows it, and it makes me proud that I can tell him that, and it's okay.
And it's all right.
And it's all right. Everything's going to be all right.
Man, that's funny.
But, man, The Weekend, what a
Well,
record
thank you,
that
man.
is,
That's,
man.
yeah, I've like I said earlier, I probably get asked to do that song and ask about that song as much as anything I've ever done. Especially if I go down around Texas or down that way, boy, they're wanting to hear that one, and I'd love playing it. So
you brought your guitar,
I did.
which I would think a person of your stature pretty well don't go nowhere without one.
I usually
somewhere
have
close.
one stashed away somewhere close by. Well, you never know when you might want to make a big plow handle A chord somewhere down the line.
You just never know when you just need to
write down a little song or
rip
something.
one off,
Yeah,
you know. So
you got it.
well, since you got her, we were talking about different ones, and I know that Life's Highway was another one that I have. That's the thing that's so funny here, is I have so many darn favorites of Steve Wariner music. It's like, how am I supposed to just pluck out a few here? But, you know, we're going to do the best.
Well, I think
Between us, we're going to do the best we can.
we can. See, for me, I'm looking at it like, oh, let's see if I can remember that one. You know, I really get asked sometimes. We did a show, when was it? That in West Texas a while back into the year, fall. And I think we played for 3 hours, it seemed like, and we did. It was one of those shows where everybody was feeling good. The band, we had everything rehearsed pretty well. We did everything.
That always helps.
Yeah, that always helps that everybody was really up on what we were doing. But we did about a 3 hour show. It seemed like, I think it was 2.5, something like that.
Oh my god!
And did everything. But I walked off stage, and the one song I didn't do that night was Small Town Girl. I did every other Steve Wariner song I believe I can ever do. And would you believe a guy walked up and goes, "Man, you didn't do Small Town Girl." And I just did about 3 hours of every song I could think of.
Dude, is that the only one you knew?
The one I think that's the only one I didn't do my whole career, and the guy nailed me on it. You know.
Oh man, are you good about remembering old songs like that?
I'm not too bad. I have to brush off the cobwebs a little
Like
bit on some
Your
of the old ones.
Memory. And
Yeah, I can kind
All
of.
Roads Lead, all that stuff.
I could not do it unless I rehearse. I'd have to go in and rehearse and kind of brush them off.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that's a.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, as far as learning, remembering lyric and all that. I
got to stop and work on it a little bit.
Because let me tell you, us as, Diamond Rio, if we do something, say we've been doing a similar show now for a while, and we at one time we were changing our show drastically every single year.
Yeah.
Well, we go a year, and then the next year, all right, remember that song we did a year and a half ago? Let's do that again. But we got rehearsed all over again.
Well, I have to do that too, but
because it's just like,
you guys
wait a minute. I
but you know what? Honestly,
that.
you guys have done so many songs. You're like me. You've recorded so much and done so much. It's hard to keep up with it. What I do when I go back out and tour, whenever I got some dates coming up, like I'll do it like in a year block or 6 or 8 months. I'll work up a show and then I'll go, let's do these songs this year. And that's fun because I guess it means I'm an old, but I can go back and go, well, let's do some of these old Steve Wariner songs. So it's kind of neat that I got some old stuff to draw on that I haven't done. Like last year we dug out I Got Dreams. I never done that in years. I did I Got Dreams and Where Did I Go Wrong? We started doing that sometimes. It was so fun because I've not done some of those.
Doing I Got Dreams, dude. Oh man, what a groove that song had.
It was so fun to do those. I haven't done it in a while, so it's fun dragging them out.
You got your guitar and
grab a harmony part or a bass part or anything. If you
never know. Oh yeah.
Carl Jackson is singing on this record too. He's singing.
Is he really?
He's singing that high harmony. Carl, I wish he was with us.
Should have called him.
The sun is up, time's at hand. There's a stir across the land, and so begins another day on life's highway. On city streets, down country roads, like a stream the people flow. They're spread to win and tolls to pay on life's highway. There is hope with every turn, a bridge to build, a bridge to burn. Here's hoping you never go astray on life's highway. We are young, then we're old, passing through, then passing on, like the roses bloom and fade on life's highway. Step by step, round and round, never knowing where we're bound, from the cradle to the grave on life's highway. There is hope with every turn, a bridge to build, a bridge to burn. Here's hoping you never go astray on life's highway.
You'll never go astray on life's highway.
There's bread to win and tolls to pay.
Golly,
by the way,
dude.
Nice little harmony. I heard that
man,
over
I
there.
just,
Thank you.
I'm over here trying to just
That's good stuff.
retain myself.
Love it. That's good. Yeah, I remember that song. When that song came about, we were recording out at the Castle out in Franklin, and that song had been around. And it was a funny thing, that song had been pitched around for a year or so.
Now, who wrote that?
That was written by Roger Murr and Richard Lee. And a lot of artists had that song. I knew of 2 or 3 artists that had passed on it, and I when I heard it, I was just flipped over it. And we brought in Jerry Douglas, played a great great dobro
you
part.
talking
on
about
it.
don't it make your brown eyes blue, Richard Lee?
Yes,
Same guy?
exactly.
Okay,
Yep, that's
yeah.
correct. And
Yeah.
Roger Murrah And so I jumped all over it. I couldn't believe that song had been floating around for a year or so.
Golly, man.
Without somebody jumping on it and doing it. But I think certain songs are meant to be in certain places. I really do. And so we jumped on it, and it turned out to be a good record for us. So.
You reckon so?
Shut up.
Good.
You reckon so?
Dude. You reckon it did? Oh, Life's Highway. It was a name of an album.
Yep.
The whole 9 yards. How did it do for you? You remember?
That's single?
Yeah.
It was number one.
Was it number one record?
It was, yeah.
Golly, no wonder.
Yeah, it was a goodie.
Well,
Jerry Douglas, the dobro part just kills me. He just nailed that dobro part.
guy,
He's
man.
okay. He's all right, you know.
he's all right.
He's all right.
Back when I was man, how old was I? 17. My cousin and I were playing bluegrass at the time, and we played a bluegrass festival down in Arley, Alabama. And don't ask me how I'm remembering this, but we played a bluegrass festival that summer between school years down in Arley, Alabama, and they had a lot of bluegrass festivals. They have these PA systems that run through the park, and you hear it playing from the stage. And I heard this unbelievable dobro being played, and this was I was 17, so this was at least 5 years ago. At least. And this guy was just burning it up, man. And I come running down there, and I looked, and the Country Gentleman was playing. And I went down there. I went, "Who is that kid on
Who's
dobro
this smart
up
aleck up there?"
And my God, that was the first time I ever heard of Jerry Douglas.
Yeah,
that guy.
He's insane player, man. Just great. And
have you had him on any other stuff?
Yeah, he's played on several of my things through the years, and he played on a song I did too called Domino Theory of Love. He wore that out. Him and Mark O'Connor, man, they went crazy on that. And after Life's Highway, it seemed like every now and then I just have a little thing that would feature him, or Mark O'Connor was playing on
Mark O'Connor coming from you, man, Mr. Restless right here.
Yeah.
One
of the new Nashville Cats.
And that one of your Grammys?
First Grammy. That was my first Grammy right there. And
his first Grammy, did you hear that? That means there's multiple. That was his first Grammy.
Well, them old things, you know.
Yeah, them old horns.
Hey, let me tell you though, when I did it, Dane, I did this album when we were on Arista together. You were there with us. We were on Arista label mates together, and I did an album called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Of course, your Jimmy Olander came and played a great part on that album. But I was nominated. Luckily, I was nominated for a Grammy.
Instrumental record.
Instrumental, that's right. My first all guitar record I did. I had 26 guests on that, guitar guys, you know. Everybody from, Richie Sambora to Larry Carlton, Jimmy Olander. Everybody in the world was on that record. But anyway, I was lucky to get nominated for a Grammy. And then I looked around and I go, oh, crap, I'm up against Chet Atkins. Man, how's that going to work out, you know? And so about a week before the Grammys that year, the Grammys were going to be in New York. And about a week before, I got this message from Chet, and he says, Steve, I'm going to vote for you on the Grammys. He goes, I think you deserve it. He goes, so I want to wish you good luck, and I'm going to vote for you, pal. And he says, and then he kind of goes, besides, I got 16 of them. And he goes,
a little butt.
I use them for door stops and stuff like that.
That's what he does.
So, and Dana, you know what? That year Karen and I went to Madison Square Garden to the Grammys. We did not win. Chet won. We got back home, and about a week or two later, in fact, Jimmy Olander was in the audience this night. Chet had called me. He was doing the Monday nights at Cafe Milano, if you remember. Every Monday, like Les Paul did up in New York kind of thing, where he'd play just for fun, and Paul and everybody would play with Chet. They played at the cafe downtown Nashville. Well, he called Karen and my wife and said, Steve's got to be down here next Monday. And no ifs, ands, or buts, he's got to be here. So I go down there. The place is packed, and there's a camera crew, and there's a lot of still photographers. Well, Chet gets me up. He says, folks, I won a Grammy a couple weeks ago. Everybody claps. And he goes, but there's
my 17th.
Yeah, exactly. And so he goes, well, there's a guy in the audience that should have won, folks. And he goes, but I beat him out, but I want to get him up here now. And he goes, it's Steve Wariner. And I get up, and I notice the camera's on me as I'm getting up. And I get up there, and he goes, Steve, you should have won that Grammy. And he goes, but I want you to have this. And he reaches back behind his amp, and he gives me a Grammy, one of his Grammys. and he goes, folks, you can't give these away. He goes, they frown on you. And so I took the plaque off, and he did. He took the plaque off of it. And it says, he goes, so it says on loan to Steve Wariner from Chet Atkins. And he gave me his Grammy. Isn't that awesome?
Oh, my word.
And then that's the night he made me a CGP, like an official CGP. They call it.
One of four.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he made
one of four.
Isn't that cool? And
certified guitar player.
Isn't that funny? And
by Chet Atkins.
He gave me a plaque, and it's a lot of where 2-4 as and all that stuff. You know, there 2-4 and
hey
he
man,
made me,
Chet Atkins made you a certified guitar player.
Isn't that funny? I just love it.
And you were a bass player with Dottie West, Bob Lumen, and then you played bass for Chet.
Well, I played bass with Chet. The guitar position was taken, but Chet had that. He didn't need another guitar. But him and Paul Yandel had that taken care of. But I wouldn't trade anything for that experience playing with those guys, though. That was something else,
What an honor that had to be for you, man.
I've told everybody, I tell people, I've had the best seat in the house every night. I was just a couple feet from Chet, and he'd hand me his Gretsch every once in a while. Go, do a couple things. It's like, oh, no, do something for these folks.
So now, did he not... I could be confused here, but didn't he not give you a CMA or something? Or somebody else gave you a CMA award?
You're probably thinking of the Grammy. Chet gave me his Grammy. Okay. But I will say this, Dana, speaking of being a bass player, being us being old bass players, you'll appreciate this story. I told it in the liner notes of my album. I did a cut by cut on my new Chet tribute album. There's a whole bunch of stuff written that I wrote about each song, but one night we were playing in Alaska. We were in Anchorage, Alaska, and I was doing a show with Chet. And in the middle of the show, he would say, "Here's Tony," or whatever, and Tony Migliore would play the piano solo. Well, this night he goes, "Here's Tony," and Tony's playing away. And Chet, we're in the middle of the show, and I'm over here going, boom, 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 and Chet comes sauntering over to me, and he walks over to me, and he bends over, and now nobody in this whole building can hear this but me.
Of course.
And Chet's just doing it for my entertainment, and I'm playing and he bends over and he whispers, he goes, "Has anybody ever told you you're the world's greatest bass player?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "Have you ever wondered why?" Is that awesome? And I'm going, why the hell did he just do that? Why did he?
Thank you, Chet.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Can you wait till I'm in the middle of the show here?
Have you ever wondered why?
Have you ever wondered why? And he just kind of smiled and walked back over,
Oh,
it
my
was
goodness.
awesome, though. Yeah.
So you spoke of your new Chet tribute record.
Yep.
So tell me about that, man. I know you probably, man.
It's something I've wanted to do, Dana.
I know you've had to want to do that
since he died June 30th of 2001, and it's something I've wanted to do ever since, man. I really want to do some way of paying honor to him, and I from the get-go with our own little label, I told everybody involved with our label, and particularly my wife Karen, I said, I know it's going to cost money to do this, but if I sell 30,000 or if I sell 3 albums, I really don't. That's not the point on this. I really need to do this. I need to make this record. And
it needed to be done.
Yeah, it really did, Dane. I had something I had to do, and what I had to do is figure a way though to do it. Like, how do you do it? And a lot of people can just play his songs okay, halfway as well as he did, you know. So what's the point of just kind of doing his songs? For me, the whole deal was to do it in a way that was a little different slant on it. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I wrote out I still have it on my little dry erase board. I made a timeline, and I said, well, I got to do something like a Jerry Reed era Chet, and I got to do something like a classical. He did some cool classical music things, and then I need to do some of the light jazz, like toward the end of his career. He did some kind of light jazz with Larry Carlton and Earl Klugh. And then the early career, he did kind of Appalachian, more of the East Tennessee kind of stuff. And I just wrote out a timeline, and I wrote about half of the album I wrote only in the styles of, and I'll show you if you want me to
Yeah, I
show
was
you.
gonna say, what
There's
do you-
one tune
what
that
do you
opens the
got?
album it's called "Leaving Luther." I'll do you a piece, but it kind of illustrates to me the early days of his like his playing the real Merle Travisy
Yeah,
style. But
yeah.
I'll just play you a piece of it. It's like.
Yeah.
But that's
Man, I love that.
I wrote
man.
that kind of. I wanted to do it in a style of, like I said, his kind of more of the real heavy
So what-
Travis style thump picking thing.
What would
And,
fall under the Jerry Reed?
if you'll pardon me retuning here, I do a drop D on this, and this is a song that I wrote that's called "Reading Out Loud," REED.
Of
And Paul
course.
Yandell, our friend, played with me on this, but it's if I can get through it, playing it kind of vertical. Like
Well, here we can
but,
bring that down there if you
yeah,
want to.
yeah. Let's
Or I can put
yeah.
this one over there. Or
No,
something.
that's cool. We'll just drop it down, but this is reading out loud. Like
Yeah. Son. Oh, son.
son.
You got to get a son in there every so
Yeah,
often.
I kind of was missing that one. That
Well, that's just using the whole neck.
there
ain't
you
it?
go. You're down there in that combat zone, folks.
See, if you'd slow her down, it'd be a whole lot easier.
Yeah, I never thought about that. But I got to play that for Jerry before he passed away. I
You did,
I
really?
Jerry and I were really, really close at the last. I knew him back in the day, but we really were closer in the last 5-6 years of his life. Since after Chet died, we got to be even closer. And Prissy, and they're just beautiful folks. But I went over to Jerry's one. He was already kind of getting sick, but I took it over one day and I played that for him. And I said, I wrote this tune about you and Chet, called "Reading Out Loud." You did, and I played it for him, and he had his little headphones on, and he was back listening, his eyes closed. And when the last note played, I could hear it kind of through his headphones, and the last note rang, and he was just sitting there with his eyes closed, and he didn't even open his eyes. He just goes, "And that's why I hate you." He just kept his eyes shut. He just goes, "And that's why I hate you."
Never did look at you.
Never did look at you. He just went. The song was way done, He just sat there. And I went, well, he was a mess.
Jimmy
man.
Oletter told me a story on him that, man, I hope I get this right, but he told me that somebody was playing, a buddy of his or something that was gigging with Jerry Reed, and said that Jerry would all the time he wore these sweatsuits and all the collars and all the sleeves and all the cuffs around the legs, everything was all ripped out. All he had them all ripped out, and somebody asked him, "Man, what's up with these really nice, expensive sweatsuits? You know, Nikes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you got all this stuff." He said, "I don't like anything to bind me.
That sounds like
I don't like anything to
don't want
bind
anything
me."
binding. Well, that's him. Isn't
So
it?
he just loosened her all up,
Isn't
buddy.
that great? That's awesome, man.
Is that funny?
He's something else, boy. I used to have so much fun. He came up to my studio and recorded a couple projects, and I played with him and played for him and with him, and we brought in players and it was just fantastic, man, to record with him. And
you've spoke of Paul Yandell, which is a longtime guitar player that played with Chet Atkins all the way to the the bitter end.
About 27 years he worked right side with him.
And on the side, Paul would do other little gigs here and there, and that's when Paul and I played together for about 4 years here in town in different nightclubs and this and that. And Paul is such an incredible player.
Oh, yeah.
All that good stuff. And I used to, that's when I was singing a lot of Steve Wariner songs, and I still sung some Jerry Reed songs. And Paul told me at that time, he said, we was working up Amos Moses. And he said, "You know who that is playing the guitar on there, don't you?" And I said, "Well, I just assume it's Jerry Reed." He said, "No, that's me playing it."
Yeah.
That whole guitar thing on Amos Moses is Paul Yandell.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
And I said, "What is up with that?" I said, because to me, from my eye or from my ear, Jerry Reed was probably one of the most innovative genius guitar players I've ever heard, not to mention songwriter, as far as lyrically and all that other good stuff. And Paul said, "I don't know why." He said, "Jerry came to me and just said, I can't play it. I want you to play it." And I'm like, what is up with that? Jerry was the one that wrote it.
Yeah, he was. I've heard Chet say that as far as just a raw talent, there's nobody. And Chet was talking about himself too. He said he's the best at just raw talent that he's ever seen.
Yeah, I just never.
But Paul played on a ton of those records. He played on so many big hit records.
Of Jerry's?
Yeah, he played on a lot. Well, everybody's, but he played on tons of Jerry's
records. Yeah, I know he
records.
played a lot.
Yeah, he played on a lot of my early records. He played on all my Your Memory and Kansas City Lights and all those early RCA records, Paul. And Paul's the one that went to them and said, "You need to let him play his own records." And I was cutting him out by doing it, but Paul, I'll never forget him for that, because
he told me that.
He went to them and said, "He needs to be playing these parts instead of me." Good Lord.
Yeah, that's exactly what he told me.
Wow, he just shot himself in the foot, And he said, "I don't care." He goes, "You need to be playing on your own records." And he's really that's awesome that he would do that, really.
Man. So just that record, man, I mean, just by hearing what you played here, man, I know it's just got to be. Did you have a lot of guests come in and play on this thing?
Not a lot. No, just a handful. I had a Tony Migliori that played with us in the day when I worked and toured with Chet. He came in. I didn't play a piano part just because he played a couple things. And then Paul played on that one, the reading out loud, that I just demolished there pretty badly.
How'd he like it?
Oh, he loved it. I played the Jerry. I played a gut string on the record, kind of a la Jerry, and then with a little phase on it like Jerry used to do. And then then Paul played kind of the Chet equation of the Jerry and Chet part. So he worked up a cool Chet-ish kind of play. He played a guitar that had Chet's pickup in it, and I used a lot of Chet's guitars on the record, and some that he'd given me over the years, and played through some old vintage ribbon mics and stuff. It was really fun to do, and we did a medley. The medley that's what's nominated for a Grammy this year. The medley's called Producer's Medley, and it's a medley that we used to play when I played with Chet. We would do it live, but he never recorded it. And what it is was a medley of songs that he had produced on other artists. Like a lot of people don't know, he produced "And I Love You So" for Perry Como, and Java. He produced that for Al Hurt. And Don Gibson, and "I Can't Stop Loving You," Jim Reeves, the Browns, Skeeter Davis, "End of the World," Everly Brothers, "When You're Hot," for your hot Jerry. Just a body of work it's about 8 or 10 songs in this medley, and we brought in Bergen White, did a string arrangement. And it's really turned out pretty sweet.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Can you go to stevewariner.com and buy this?
Yeah, you can get it at iTunes. You can download it at iTunes or Amazon.com.
Amazon. Yeah, I saw it on Amazon.
Yeah, you can get it. Or stevewariner.com. They can kind of direct you to some places to get it to. But we're really thrilled about it. It's our first baby that's really on this scale that we've released on our label. I've done 4 albums, but 2 were not in stores, just online. And the first one, Still Another Day, was in stores at a limited kind of release, but this one is pretty wide release, and first one that we've really on our label that we've had out on a wide release. So.
Sounds to me like I need to give Karen a call and
another call. Give her a bunch of calls.
I need to give her a call and give her a little kiss on the jaw and get a little gift package.
You don't have to do that. You can do that if you want, but you don't have to. And I meant to bring a little goodie bag today, and of course I walked out and didn't. But.
It sounds like that's what it's going to take. So.
Nah, but hey, here's the open invitation. Come out to my. I started saying my address right here on your show. Come out to.
What do you call
Come
it?
out to my same address as yours.
Yeah.
And,
what do you call it?
My studio?
Yeah. You got a name
it's
for it?
Well, I've kind of jokingly called my studio. I don't have an official name, but I kind of call it Twangri-La, which is, I think, is kind of a cool little name. Twangri-La Studio.
Twangri-La.
Instead of Shangri-La, it's Twangri-La.
Well, of course it is. Yeah. That was a low D, friends.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I'm back.
Well, I do have a question. I know you're gonna sing some more right here, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think? Well, of course, but I'm gonna ask you, what was your biggest record, and what is your favorite record that you cut?
Well,
that was a hit.
The biggest one that I've ever done, my record, was Holes in the Floor of Heaven, as far as just sales and all that.
Sales and chart.
All the way around.
Holes in the Floor of Heaven.
All the way around, I'd have to say Holes in the Floor of Heaven.
Isn't that interesting? After all of those years and all of those records and 3 or 4 different labels.
Yeah.
And here you come. Way then, okay, now that's the biggest record you ever had.
And you know what's funny is the way it came about is hilarious. You know, in an MCA, it's funny, at MCA I had 10 number ones back to back to back to back. We had a run at MCA of 10 in a row.
Because you started out on RCA Records.
Yeah.
And was there for how many years?
Let me think. Gosh. That's
76. And you moved to MCA in 84.
See, you know more than I do.
See, so there's...
And Tony Brown was producing me at RCA, and his contract expired. He went to MCA and was head of A&R and all that at MCA. And so when my contract ran out, which was not too far after he left, I left when my contract expired, and I went to MCA too. I kind of bided my time.
Yeah.
The very first records I had that's when I did Some Fools Never Learn and What I Didn't Do. That one album had...
Crazy Life, Crazy World.
Crazy World.
Crazy
And,
World.
yeah. And, Heart Trouble and that first album. One Good Night Deserves Another. But being with Tony, we had a great run with Jimmy Bowen and Tony Brown. And then I've left and went to Ariston.
Went to Ariston in
we
91, right?
Yeah,
91.
Yep.
And that's when we were
label mates, yeah.
And then you left there and went to Capitol Records.
Well,
or there was a break in there, right?
There was an interesting story on that, too. A lot of people may or may not know this. I don't know if you know this story, but Tim Dubois, the people at Arista pretty much had said, you know what, we're not going to do any albums for a while. We're going to sit and not going to do any music for a while. So I just kind of was, that's when I went off and did No More Mr. Nice Guy. On my own, I did that and took to him, and we did No More Mr. Nice Guy. Well, as it turned out, in that time period, I had written a song called Holes in the Floor of Heaven with Billy Kirsch. About a year before I recorded it, I wrote it, and I played it for the label, and they didn't want to do anything with it.
It's kind of
They're like, well, and this is the words the promotion
mister.
Here's the words the promotion people said. They go, well, we like it, but I just don't know if we can get it played.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll play it.
Well, how many times have I heard that?
And so I said, you know what? You guys don't want it. I'm going to go over here and do it. And so I played it for Bill Catino at Capitol and Pat Quigley. And actually, let me back up. It sounds like I'm going to drop names. Forgive me when I do this. I don't mean it that way, I swear. But okay, maybe a little. But
if you're going to drop one, the one I'm thinking of, you can drop that anytime you want.
I'm going to drop it.
I would.
Well, I was on this sounds so funny. It sounds like I'm going to drop. Okay, I was on an airplane with Garth Brooks. You know? That sounds funny.
That's the name I'd drop.
But I was on an airplane. I was going to do Tonight Show because I'd written, Rick Carnes and I had written a song, Long Neck Bottle, which Garth did, and we were out doing it on the Tonight Show. Well, I've got my little headphones on the plane, and I'm listening to some of my mixes and stuff I'm working on. One of the songs I just finished and was listening to a mix was a song called "Holes in the Floor of Heaven." Well, in the meantime, my label had already said, "Nah, I don't think we'll do that." They'd said that about 4 months prior. We like it, but we don't think it'll get played, you know. So Garth saw me listening to some songs on my headphones, and he says, "What are you listening to, pal?" And I said, "Just some new songs I've written." He goes, "Do you mind if I hear?" And I go, "Sure." And inside I'm going, "Yes," you know. He wants to listen.
Here's a man that is on Capitol Records, and I would say carried a mighty large stick at Capitol Records.
It looked pretty big to me, you know. But,
you ain't kidding.
But so anyway, he gets done hearing "Holes in the Floor of Heaven." I can hear it through his headphones, and he kind of does one of these and takes his headphones off, and he looks at me and he says, What are you doing with this song, "Holes in the Floor of Heaven"? And I go, "Well, my label don't want to do anything with it." And so he says, "What's your deal with your label?" And I said, "Well, we're not doing any music now. They don't want to put an album out, so I'm just kind of in limbo." And he says, "Well, if you'll come over with the Capitol," he goes, "you need to play this for those guys at Capitol." Long story short, I did, and a couple weeks later, it's out on Capitol, you know, and it was out.
Don't take long when
you know, and so But in all fairness, all my pals at Arista, that song, now fast forward to the CMAs, it won CMA Song of the Year and ACM Song of the Year.
I was right there.
I know, yeah, you were, and you know,
my feet,
and I was
baby.
going to say my pals at all the Arista guys, my label guys there, I have to say that they were the first ones on their feet clapping. So it's just the way business goes, and it is what it is, you know. So
it's sometimes a mean, tough.
It's just a tough business.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
not unlike lots of business, but when you're dealing with writing songs and people's songs that they've written and this and that, it's kind of like dealing with, you're kind of saying no to a child.
Yeah, that's true.
And it makes it I say, yes, all business is tough and rough and all that, but when you're talking bad about your children.
And those songs are your children too.
You ain't kidding. And that's a little different, a little bit more personal than just being tough business.
Your songs mean the world to you, and they're really personal. And especially personal was a song that I love. You did "One Small Miracle."
No, we did.
Excuse me.
Make sure you got it
all.
all.
I was thinking
baby.
of Brian White. But what I was leading up to "Make Sure You Got It All" was when you roasted my behind out in that seat out in Aubrey. Yeah. I was telling that story the other night first time I ever heard that your guys cut, it was
that might have been a little mean.
Can you enlighten us and telling us a little bit about
I had a truck at the time that had leather seats, and it had seat heaters in it, and this was one of those that didn't have a control how hot it was, just on or off.
No, folks, let me tell you, it had 4 speeds. It had small, medium, large, and dearly beloved. We are gathered here,
And we had just recorded this song that Steve and Bill Anderson wrote.
Make sure you got it all.
Just leave the floor so I have some place to fall.
Oh yeah, baby.
And I said,
killed it
I said,
man.
dude, I got our cut of your song out here. I'd love for you to come hear it. Okay, well, we did our Opry spots, and we go out to the parking lot.
I could not wait to hear.
Just jump here in the truck.
Jump right here in the seat.
Just jump here in the driver's seat, and I'll turn it on and just sit there and listen. Because I had an extra special little stereo in that truck and all that good stuff. And so he did, and while he was sitting there listening to it,
I was engrossed.
Yeah, he was, and it just kind of hit me just maybe it's a little
Maybe it's kind of cool.
little mean streak or whatever, but I just reached over. It was on the side of the seat. I just flipped that button, and this was before actually seat heaters was very popular. Every vehicle didn't have them like today, and all of a sudden, buddy, he's listening to that song. I see that butt start to squirming on that chair, and he starts moving forward and backwards and everything.
I was thinking, this song is really moving me the way they did it, but I'm really moving,
man, is that song hot or what?
Dana, it was almost like if you watched a cartoon where they set somebody's like one of those cartoon animals' tail on fire, and they go, "What's that? What's that smell? Oh my God!
It's Steve. He's on fire!" That was some kind of funny, but.
But being serious, I love that cut, man. I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud to have that cut, man.
Man, just leave the floor, man. That's the one that just
here to catch me when I fall.
Just leave the floor, so I get someplace to fall, man. That's absolutely unbelievable. We joined the Opry April of '98. What about you?
96.
96.
But I played it. It's funny, I didn't join till late, but I
we played it a bunch before, but
that's the way with us, me too. I played it in '73 with Dottie West. I played at the old Ryman downtown when it was still there, which was awesome. I mean, it was.
Well, I played with Jimmy C. Newman on the Opry, and I played with Jeannie Pruitt on the Opry.
And you were probably there with your uncles.
Well, no, I never played with them.
You were probably there.
I was down at the Ryman.
That's what I mean.
As
you were
a
there.
Kid. Yeah. C&M and all that good stuff, and then. That's why it's just so darn special.
Special, man. It really is.
I mean, that not to mention, it's just a legendary institution there, man.
It really is. It's so fun to play. I know we do too. I love playing it, and it's really special.
So what are you gonna play? You got another song here called "I'm Missing You."
Yeah, let me tell you. Let me set this up, man. I want to tell you the story on this song. I was lucky. Billy Kirsch and I write quite a bit together, and we wrote this song. We actually wrote it about a soldier that's missing his. He's in over on the other side of the world, missing his loved ones back home, and missing his wife. And we were lucky enough to pitch it, and Kenny Rogers cut this song on an album he did a few years back. And I love the way he did it. He just tore it up, man. And so when I guess about a year and a half ago, I was asked to come up to Vice President Cheney's residence. He was having about 100 soldiers come in, and he was having most of them were wounded warriors. They just got back from Iraq and Afghanistan through Walter Reed, and so he asked me to play. They asked me to play at this event for about 100 of these soldiers and their families, and so I go, yeah, I'll do it. I'd love to. So I played, and I thought, well, what can I do? I said, I'll end up. I never have done "I'm Missing You." It's about a soldier, but I've said I never have done this song live other than we did the demo and Kenny cut it. I loved his cut. So Dana, I'm standing there playing this song in the library at the Naval Observatory there with all these soldiers around me. I get done playing it and I walk off. I'm nervous to play it because these guys are in wheelchairs and they're great guys, just kids. So I walk off and I come over to the side there, and there's a young boy. I'll never forget this guy. He was sitting in a wheelchair, and one of his legs was gone, and he said, man, he had a little tear, and he said, man, I love that song you just did. He goes, you wrote that, huh? And I go, yeah. And I go, I was kind of one of those moments I wasn't quite sure what to say. I kind of stumbled around. I go, well, like I said up there, Kenny Rogers did it on his album. And he goes, oh, I know. He goes, that's the song I was listening to when I was hit in Iraq, in Baghdad.
Jeez.
He said, that's what I was listening to on my iPod. And I go, are you? Oh my God! And I reached down and hugged this kid, and anyway, I thought I'd play it for you. It's not one of those songs that just beats you over the head with the story on it, but it's just simply about a guy in Iraq or in Afghanistan missing his wife.
Man, when you do songs like that reach those guys, man.
This kid's name is Andy Coleth. I'll never forget him.
Huh.
By the time you read this letter, I'll be gone. I'm not the man I was when I left home. By the time you see my face, I will have aged much more than the passing of the days. This many miles might as well be the moon. It's a desolate place, and I'm missing you. My heart can't believe what my eyes they have seen. God knows what's pulling us through. In a world gone insane, I whisper your name. Oh, I'm missing you. Sometimes in the quiet of the night, I reach for you as if you're by my side. When everything around me seems all wrong, the thought of holding you, it keeps me hanging on. This many miles might as well be the moon. It's a desolate place, and I'm missing you. My heart can't believe what my eyes they have seen. God knows what's pulling us through. In a world gone insane, I whisper your name. Oh, I'm missing you.
Man, dude. And you wrote that? My
yeah, I wrote it.
gosh.
Me and Billy Kirsch wrote that.
What a great record, huh?
Well, thank you.
Thank you, man. What'd you cut that on?
I've never recorded it myself. I never recorded it.
Just Kenny.
Kenny Rogers did it on an album.
Man, is he a prince of a dude or what?
Boy,
man?
I sang on that record with him too, and it is just he just killed it, man. And this was a few years back. I mean, it's 4 years ago he did it. But I'm so proud of his cut, man. He just really sang it too. You could tell he meant every word. And
telling you, man, he's we got a real chance to hang with.
He's a sweetheart, man.
To be over there, we got to sing on a record with him.
Oh yeah.
It was He Will, She Will, or something like that. It was the single that we went over there and sang on with him, and just such an honor to know that guy.
I know he's really a gentleman, and I was honored that he liked it. And you could hear the way he owned that song when it was over with. I've never recorded it myself. I probably will do it one of these days. I love this. I love it. I want to record it one day myself, but hopefully I can do it.
Man, you do those
justice,
when you do those songs that touch those military guys and girls over there,
I know
man. We've had similar response with us in God We Still Trust that we did, and actually One More Day was another one that
song will always
people.
touch people.
Oh man,
no
that song
that
song's a life of its own. I'm sure
it's
a lot like Holes.
It's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
Holes in the Floor of Heaven, man. It's just that's a song of. It's got its own. We're just honored to be able to hang on to that song and go where it goes,
where it takes you.
Yeah. I mean,
you're right about. I know what you're saying.
That has nothing to do with us. It's all that song, man.
It's really something to do a song that when you look at it, you can see it not only audibly, but you can see it in person how it touches people, and it's really it's a blessing. It really is.
So you never did say of all of your hits what your favorite is?
Man, I don't
Because that's
know.
going to be a tough question. There,
Yeah,
dude.
you know, that might be hard to answer. There's so many I like for different reasons. I love The Weeknd. You played that.
Yeah,
you know, I love
that's
that. And
just
there's a song that's pretty special to me just because it's it's actually connected to The Weeknd. It may be up there in one of my favorites too. And we talked about it a little bit before we got going, but when I was in LA I flew out to do the video for The Weeknd. I was doing the video, and it just so happens the time frame that it happened, I was nominated for American Music Award for Some Fools Never Learn too.
oh yeah,
But
which should have won if it didn't.
it did not that year. But thank
shoulda.
you, thanks. But I was out doing the video for The Weeknd, and Karen, my wife, she was due to have our son Ross at any moment, and we after much prayer and conversing and trying to figure out, should I go to these award shows? Should I go on the West Coast and do this video and then try to do the American Music Awards and get back home, or what should I do? Well, we both agreed that my parents had come to stay at the house, and we'd agreed to go do it, and I was going to catch a red eye back home that night.
Yeah.
Long story short, on the plane going to out there, I wrote the song "I Should Be With You" on the way out there, and I wrote the whole song about Karen, about I should be with you right now, the state that you're in, 9 months pregnant is the state you're in. I was talking about, and
The state I put you.
yeah, that's the state I'm talking about. But anyway, that's the song "I Should Be With You" is what we wrote on that trip.
I'll never forget.
I wrote it, and
There's a line in that I have used so many times talking to different ones, and just that I've stole straight from that was the crazy things a dollar will make us do.
and that is really the truth.
The
too,
crazy thing, and I got it straight out of that song, man.
Oh, man.
Man, that is so poignant and so in everybody's life. I don't care what you do.
But you can find yourself every now and then. I'll find myself doing something, and you'll think that and go, I'm just doing this for that dollar. That's all I'm doing it for, No other reason.
There's things this year that I will say that about.
I can't believe I just did that, But that song is real special because that's Ross's song, "I Should Be With You." And Ross knows the story so well now, but I'll never forget. I got on a red-eye flight. I was so dead exhausted after in LA doing that video for 40 hours or whatever.
Red eyes
and then
are
getting on a
awful.
red eye, and I got home and just got back to Franklin, and Karen went into labor, and I just gathered her up and took her to Baptist, and a few hours later Ross was here, and that's his song, I Should
And
Be
then
With You.
sleeping was over for you.
Sleeping is a thing of the past. I've not slept since, and that was
Once that kid got here, that was the end of sleeping.
22 years ago, baby.
I've been up ever since.
That's not far from the truth.
Well, why don't you do a little bit of that, man? I love that song.
Can we do it? Can we?
Oh, you want to?
Yeah.
You want to do it
Can we
over
just
here?
play? Yeah. Can we play it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought you was going to play it right there on your guitar. Oh, you got to do all that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just play it right here because I just happen to have it.
You happen to have it up your sleeve.
You better believe I do.
I met a lady on the plane to California, and she reminded me so much of you. And when she asked what I was doing here, well then it hit me. The crazy things the dollar makes us do. I should be with you right now, the state that you're in. I should be holding you instead of losing my mind. Just when you need me the most, so does the coast. But I swear I'll make it up to you this time. as they hug before departure. It just reminds me you're alone. I hold the quarter that will take my voice back to you. And hear you say I need you here at home. I should be with you right now. The state that you're in, I should be holding you instead of losing my mind. Just when you need me the most, so does the coast. But I swear I'll make it up to you this time. I should be with you right now. The state that you're in, I should be holding you instead of losing my mind. Just when you need me the most, so does the coast. But I swear I'll make it up to you this time.
Hey everybody, this is Billy Dean, and you're going to get the inside scoop and then some right here on the Dana Williams Show at DanaWilliamsShow.com.
Baby, your love is a precious thing, like a newfound home, like a diamond ring. Nobody knows what tomorrow brings. I know your love is a precious thing. In the middle of hard times, not to mention these good times, you make me feel like a man ain't never seen nothing but sunshine. You're the one I come home to. Girl, you know I still want to. When I'm gone, no matter how long, you're on my mind. Baby, your love is a precious thing, like a newfound home, like a diamond ring. Nobody knows what tomorrow brings. I know your love is a precious thing. If our bills are paid on time, or if we let them get away behind, I still feel like you and me are just sitting on a gold mine. What more could I ask for? Honey, I'll never be poor, 'cause I own the world as long as you're here by my side. Baby, your love is a precious thing, like a newfound home, like a diamond ring. Nobody knows what tomorrow brings. I know your love is a precious thing. I know your love, it is a precious thing.
It's a precious thing there with Steve Wariner. Friends, you're listening to the Dana Williams Show right here on DanaWilliamsShow.com. And this week, friends, Mr. Steve Wariner has come to the house and joined me down here in the Bat Cave. And I want to take just a moment, like I have in the past, to talk about these wonderful Shure microphones.
They're sweet.
That's Shure. Surely They are microphones. And friend, I have been singing on these for, man, I can't remember not. What about you?
Oh, all those old Shure mics we used to sing
Dude,
on. They're just awesome, you know.
They're old 57s.
57s, I use those every day, man, at home.
See, there you go. I mean, if you want to sound like the ones making the records, friends, you got to use a Shure microphone.
They sure are good.
They sure are.
I like that. Hey.
That is pretty good, isn't it? S-H-U-R-E. That's Shure microphone. They sure are good. That's good.
Well, that's country, isn't it, man? That's country. Forgive me, everybody at Shure Mics. I'm sorry.
It's good stuff, man. So, Precious Thing. You wrote that with Mac McAnally.
Yeah, boy, Mac McAnally, and he played on tons of my records in the day back then, and still one of my dear friends. And
you said that we was talking while it was playing there that you guys had to hang out and finish the second verse before you could go in.
Yeah, we came into the studio that morning. We cut this. I remember coming into the studio and the ink was still fresh on the paper. We just dotted the I's.
It'll still blur.
Yeah, do easy with that. Some of those dotted I's and crossed T's were still wet, but I remember cutting that morning. That's a Pettibro. I think they called that Paul Franklin was playing, that like a dobro.
Oh, a Pettibro. Okay.
Yeah, scary there. It was kind of a cross between a dobro and a pedal steel, and I think that was Paul Franklin playing that.
I remember
cool
those
part. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Oh, yeah, those are cool sounding instruments, no doubt.
You heard it on a lot of records during that time. A lot of people were using them a lot, and back in those days.
So Mac, he has written. There's two songs probably in my repertoire of just songs of his that just have marked me for life. All these years was one that Sawyer Brown had.
Yeah, I love that song.
Oh my goodness, that was just absolutely brilliant.
It was, and I'll tell you, one of my favorite songs he wrote. Going back a few years was the Alabama song "Old Flame." He wrote that. There's an old flame burning.
I did not
in your
know that.
eyes.
Okay,
Yeah.
3.
And that
I didn't know
I love
that.
that song. And
I did not know he wrote that.
that tears can't hide and makeup can't disguise.
I know we toured. Now get this, we toured with Alabama, and it just shows you, man, when you know somebody has an incredible career, but you get busy with life and you don't really pay no attention and this and that. But we come along in 1993, we were rocking. Things were really popping for Diamond Rio, and we were going to tour. We toured with Alabama the year of 93, and we go out on the road with them, and we get a big tour all rehearsed up and everything, and all the production and all this good stuff. And the first night, we play, and it was Michelle Wright, Diamond Rio in Alabama was the tour. And we played, Michelle played, we played, and then Alabama came out, and they opened with I'm in a Hurry and Don't Know Why, which I thought was just awesome song,
Yeah, sure.
man. I loved that. And they played for 2 hours. And that's the end of the show. So they go off and they have this unbelievable encore that goes on for days, and they come back and they play 2 more songs and they leave the stage, and encore for days, and they come back and they play 2 more songs and they leave, and finally they have to come back and do another one because these people are just going nuts. And they come back. Now this is the 4th time they've come back. After playing 2 hours,
Sure.
They come back and still they come out and do Old Flame.
Whoa.
Still hadn't done
They
Old
held
Flame.
that one way back.
I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
my goodness, man,
Yeah.
you've already sit here and done 2 hours of nothing but hits
That's
after
a body
hits.
of work right there, isn't it?
Phew, man, it just blew me
Yeah,
away.
they had a serious body of work, and I
Certainly.
played with them once when we were on RCA together, so I toured around with them, especially the early days. I was around all those early days.
Yeah.
We'd jump on the Learjets and fly around, do radio promo stuff. And I remember once I played Hemisphere Arena in San Antonio, Texas. It's not there anymore, but we played there. Here was the lineup: Terry Gibbs, George Strait, me, and Alabama.
In that order?
Yeah, in that order. Isn't that awesome?
Oh, man.
In San Antonio, Texas.
You just had to have George open for you, didn't you?
Yeah, he opened for me down there,
In Texas, he had to open
Of course,
for
he
you.
had like one record out at that time.
Yeah.
He was just coming out. And everybody, you could look at him and hear him and tell. That night I went, oh, he's going to be humongous. He's awesome, I'm a huge Strait fan. So, as everybody is.
Yeah, as everybody for sure. So talking about, all these years for sure. And then you had a song several years back on, I think it was the title cut of the album called It's a Crazy World.
Speaking of Mac McAnally.
Speaking of Mac McAnally.
Yeah, he wrote that song. He wrote that when he was 16. He wrote a song called It's a Crazy World, But I Live Here. Boy, if you listen to it, it's relevant today because it is a crazy world we live in.
It has, that song has moved me every time I hear it. And it's just hard for me to believe that a dude
how do he know?
No older than 16. I mean, it looks like you'd have to have more than that under your belt before,
you'd think so. But
before you could write something, because man, that's intense.
He's a different
song.
guy, though. Yeah, he's what a credible talent, and he's playing some cool guitar. He played guitar on that track too, and he played some great, brilliant acoustic guitar.
Well, I guess that's having red hair and everything.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Let's listen to that.
I'm just jealous he's got that much hair.
But he's got enough for me, you, and anybody else you know.
I heard him once tell somebody, they were talking about how thick his hair was, and he goes, "That's not hair, it's kudzu."
It's a helmet. Is what it is.
What a talent, man. Mac McAnally.
Let's listen. It's a crazy world.
Younger men don't seem to need a purpose. They just stand and fight for anybody's cause. But older men see living as a circus. The ones who stand up for the longest need applause. From the young ones who proclaim to have the answers to the questions no one ever asked before. They cheer and have parades, but when it's over, they don't claim to know the answers anymore. It's a crazy world, but I live here. And if you can hear me singing, so do you. I'm turning out my nightlight, feeling satisfied that there's nothing any one of us can do. No, there's nothing any one of us can do. Babies cry all day, sometimes for nothing. And I have cried all day for not much more. It ain't easy when you hate the things you're loving. You wonder what or maybe who you're loving for. Girls seem to think that they're the chosen ones. Women choose to let well enough alone. And it's their business till you stick your nose in once. Then you've got yourself some problems of your own. It's a crazy world, but I live here. And if you can hear me singing, so do you. I'm turning out my nightlight, feeling satisfied nothing any one of us can do. No, there's nothing any one of us can do.
Man, you had to just be so happy with that when you got done.
I love that song, and
God.
working with Mac's always been a pleasure. We've written a lot of stuff together over the years, and always have fun hanging out, you know. So yeah, that's one I'm really proud of. That was the title of that album too. So
Yeah, and it had
title track.
Oh no! Well,
That'll
you heard
happen.
that, didn't you?
That'll happen.
Also on that record, I was going to say was "Small Town Girl" and Linda L.Y.
L-Y-N-D-A.
NDA.
I think Bill LaBounty and let's see, I think they wrote that about Linda Carter. I really think.
Really?
Yep.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, because there's a
Well, that is how
that's
she
in
spoke her
Yeah,
name.
see, and there's the last verse says, "I'll be your Spider-Man, you be my Wonder Woman." So I'm thinking, can't say this I blame them either. You know?
Me neither.
I always hoped when that song is out that she would come out to my show somewhere and I'd get to meet her. So
Never happened.
never happened. No.
Dadgummer. Maybe
Dadgummit.
she ain't Wonder Woman,
Maybe she don't listen to country music either.
or maybe
so.
she is Wonder
Warner.
Woman. Wonder Warner. No.
But I always wondered about that, if they wrote that about her. I always suspected maybe they did.
And if also on there is if I could make a living out of loving you.
Dave Loggins wrote that. That's a cool song.
Didn't Clay
Different-
Walker have a
different
song?
song.
Different
It's a
song.
different-
He
yeah.
had the same title,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
he? There's always a first time. I like that, man.
Thank you. That's a fun song.
I like that. Why do heroes die so young? Golly. When it rains, man.
Yeah, that's another Mac song me and Mac wrote, When It Rains.
And The Weekend is also on this CD. Friends, just go to Amazon or iTunes and just, if you don't have this record, which you should, just go get it. Even though it don't make no difference to you one way or the other.
But I want them to hear it.
They
you know?
should, man, because man, that record.
I like your honesty. That's pretty honest. I love it.
I'm just laying it out there,
But
baby.
I like it, you know.
That song you just heard, "It's a Crazy World," is from 1987.
I couldn't remember what year that
80.
was.
It says it right there.
I
on
remember
it.
that year we did it on Mac and I did it on Austin City Limits. We were on there, and I brought Mac down to Austin, and we did it together.
I'll tell you where you also did it was on a television show called New Country.
Absolutely,
And I have that on- I have that on video.
New Country. We also did it at the Texas State Fair. I remember Mac came out and toured with me that year.
I have that whole show on
New Country
on videotape.
Oh man,
I have several shows like that of you on videotape.
that's-
from that time right in there.
you probably got some mullet hairdos. From there somewhere,
Oh
don't you?
yeah. Terry over playing guitar. He's over playing guitar.
Terry Dale Warner.
Yeah. And I also I made a note or two, but I did want to ask you about before we go here. I wanted to ask you about your painting, man.
Yeah,
What's going on
I've
with
been
that?
painting lately. I've been painting quite a bit. I've been painting this new medium that not new to me, not new, but I've discovered a few years ago a new medium that's where you work in heat, and it's called encaustic, and you make your own paint.
Sauna painting?
It's yeah. Well, I guess you could say that. But
You work in heat.
Well,
What does that mean?
No. You work on a hot plate, a griddle, and I warm up the paint. And I use natural beeswax, and I make your own paint. It's really neat. You have to see the textures and so forth.
No
So,
Bob Ross for you, huh?
Bob Ross. There's a name.
You don't remember Bob Ross?
Yes, I remember Bob
Oh,
Ross.
you
There's a
better.
name from the past, boy. Let's use a friendly little brush.
Yeah,
you know,
every tree needs a little friend.
little friends.
Little
you know.
friend.
But I love to paint, man. I still do it and draw and paint. And I did a painting not long ago. And that's really, it's a release for me. It's something that's not music, and it's something I can get away from. And
I know you.
I
Don't you
enjoy it,
usually
yeah.
paint your Christmas card? that
I
you
used to.
send?
I didn't. I don't think we. Yeah, I did this year too. But yeah, we. I usually do our Christmas card.
I used to get Christmas cards, man, every year, man. It'd be
you never know what it's going to
be a
you
different
know,
thing that you'd
kinda
paint,
goofy
you know.
or whatever. So.
And I also read that, which I didn't know this, that you was into magic. Now, are you into
Close
that?
up magic. I used to do a lot of magic. Yeah, boy, I used to do a lot of magic, and
It's funny.
But you know what? I got away from. I kind of had to step away from it because it was taking up a whole bunch of my time when I could be either practicing guitar or working on a new song or something. I'd be working on my double lift or some of my card moves.
My double lift, yeah.
Or I'd have to go, wait a minute, I need to be writing songs here. I'm getting too deep into this, trying to saw Terry in half or something. It got out of hand,
Well, that one would be okay whether it failed or not.
Well, I've tried that. That had nothing to do with the magic. I've tried that a couple times.
I was going to say, I bet he tried to saw him in half for years.
I mean, some nights I wanted to,
Oh, man.
Yeah, but magic's fun. You know what? One of my good buddies too. Over the years, I've learned a lot of stuff from him. Is of course I'll never be a iota as good as he ever was, but I used to be. I'm still good friends with a guy named Lance Burton out in Vegas.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
fantastic. He's from Louisville. I've known him. His parents.
Are you serious?
His parents are from about 10 miles from where my mom and dad live, and I've known him forever since before.
And that's an interesting thing to talk about for a minute. I mean, now here you've had a career. Let's just take away all your time with Dottie and Bob Lumen and Chet Atkins, and let's just start when you started being a solo artist. And
you mean when Chet fired me? When
Chet
when
fired
he fired
you,
me, he brought me in and fired me after I had my first hit,
and then signed you.
That's crazy.
I mean, think about from that point to now, the cool people that you've been able to meet.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I mean, just because of, hey, me being in Diamond Rio and the success that we've enjoyed and been blessed with, we've been able to meet several sports figures and be at these national anthems, do some of these, and being at some great sporting events. And we look at that as being incredible perks of this business. But we've also been able to meet, a
lot of our heroes,
some presidents, and
Sure.
I've met, Vice President Cheney. We met him and took pictures with, and
we're lucky folks.
different actors and this and that. Now, a guy like you that's had career since the early 70s. I mean, man, come on now. Let's give here. Come on, some of them super cool ones,
J.J. Walker, I met him one time, man. He was awesome.
Dynamite.
He was awesome,
I mean,
but there's a bunch. Honestly.
I know there is.
You don't even know where to start. There's so many. We're so lucky to.
This is
get
your
to do
moment
that,
to name drop. I mean, I know you've had a wonderful relationship with Garth. That's been cool.
Here's some name dropping. One of my true friends, and we used to go fishing a lot, but I haven't for a while. But we still stay in close touch. Anytime I'm down that way, we get together and have dinner and hang out. And he's one of my best friends. Is Nolan Ryan. We got to be pals. Yeah. He's awesome. He and his wife Ruth and
we got to play at his.
He's fantastic.
We got to play at his birthday party.
Oh yeah.
And they I guess they rented out Billy Bob's down there in Fort Worth.
I remember that.
And it was us and Patty Loveless played.
Yeah.
And that day was his last home game at Texas there.
I remember. And I was at that game, by the way. I was at that last game.
we went to that game, and while we were there, this is funny, but while we were there, we were sitting right off of third base there. And probably, I'd say 10 rows back.
You're speaking of, let me interrupt you. You're speaking of in Arlington there.
Yeah.
I was in the last one in Houston, I was thinking of when they gave him his saddle and all that.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about, Yeah. And we were sitting there probably about 10 rows up, and I started noticing, because, the dugout was right in front of us kind of, and noticing these people that had these 8x10 pictures, and they kept coming from in front of us going back. And so I started, and finally somebody in front of me had one, and I said, hey, what are these pictures that you got here? And he showed me, and it was an 8x10 picture of Nolan Ryan that had, what was his name, Ventura or whatever?
Robin Ventura.
Around and was just had that fist out, buddy.
I know Robin Ventura too. I met him.
And I'm not a huge fan of baseball, so I'm not real familiar with these guys. But man, he just had him in a headlock, buddy, and it was an 8x10 picture of right in the action of him doing this.
That was Nolan's last year too. He was retiring after that season. So yeah,
and the photographer that took it was sitting right at the dugout, right in front of me.
Wow!
So we went down there. I went down there and I said, "Hey man, you got these pictures?" And he pulls out a satchel and had probably 100 of these pictures in there. He said, $10 a piece, man. So me and Dan Trubin bought one.
You know what? The funny thing with Nolan, though, you can bring that up. I've seen people bring that up to him, and he don't really want to talk about it.
No, he doesn't.
No, he don't really want to talk about it.
We took it.
It's old to him. He don't want to.
We took it that night to the birthday party.
What'd he say?
And he come backstage and everything. We had it sitting out there.
He don't want to talk about it.
I said, "Hey, man, we want to know if you'd sign this for us." And he looked at it and he kind of, "Oh, man." He said, "That's one I'm not very proud of right there." He said, "But I'll sign it for you either way."
He was awesome, man.
And he signed it, man, and I still got that to this day.
Oh, that's awesome, yeah. I've talked to Robin Ventura. I didn't bring that up to him.
Oh, come on, man. That's the dirt there,
isn't
baby.
That awesome? Well, Nolan said, he goes, he said, one time I hit Dave Winfield with a pitch. He said, and Dave Winfield's about 6'7", awesome player.
Oh.
And Dave Winfield, he said, I stood on the mound like a fool and let him about take my head off. And he goes, I swore after that, if anybody charges the mound, they're not going to get the first lick in. I swore that day. And I think he held to it.
I reckon he did, yeah. But we was sitting there where we could hear every darn pitch, man, the grunting and carrying on.
It's awesome, yeah.
Golly, man, them dudes, they really throw that ball like it matters.
Yeah. And nobody did it like Nolan Ryan.
Nobody
did it like him.
It's unreal.
But and I guarantee you, Robin Ventura is really a nice man too. And neither one of those guys, I guarantee you, they don't want to talk about it now.
Bet you
it's
something they're not
from the
proud
past.
of at all.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I just, I didn't bring it up to. I just thought that was ironic.
Isn't that cool?
That you bring it up and well, I got something on.
Isn't that funny?
It was so cool though to play his birthday party, and to think that you can have a birthday party and we need to close Billy Bob's for your birthday party.
I know it.
The largest club in Texas,
I played for his birthday party a couple years ago, and they had it in Austin at a place of like a wildlife ranch, and Charlie Pride was there, and me and Neil McCoy and a lot of his pals, and it was really fun, and we had a good time.
Man.
He's a great man.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man.
We used to redfish down in Port Mansfield, way down in South Texas. Every year we go, me and Nolan and his sons. Some of his sons would go, a couple of them, or one or the other usually every year. But it was so fun. We'd catch those redfish and then have them for dinner that night.
Isn't it cool, man?
Oh,
See, well, that's what I'm talking about, man. The perks of being in this business. I guess the downside would be being gone all the time.
That's the down part for sure.
I should be with you right now. Baby.
I love it.
That's funny stuff. Hey, man, I want to dig down. I don't know how far. I dig as far as I can in my heart and tell you thank you for coming out here.
Dana, I've really loved it. And
I mean that as sincere as I can be. I mean,
thank you, man.
I don't want to get gooey and cry. And
do it. Get gooey.
Come over and hug on you. But
they can't see us. Come on.
They can't see us.
You know what? I've really loved this, though. I knew this was going to be a fun time.
Oh, man.
It's really a chance to catch up to. I've not seen you near enough, and it's fun to be with you always. So.
I just hate it. But you know what? We did a little webisode or whatever. That's going to be on your
it'll
website.
Pop up, yeah.
It's going to pop
up.
If
I push the right buttons, it will.
Yeah. Anyway, so if you want to see how it looked just before we sat down to do this.
Before we turned on the machines.
Just before we turned them on, you can go to Steve's website and there'll be a little webisode there.
That's it.
And you can see the incredible Bat Cave.
And two handsome dudes right here.
Two handsome dudes, man.
Well, this has been fun because it's like two old pals just kind of catching
Man,
up. That's
I mean,
what it is.
tell you,
So,
man, and I just can't thank you enough. And
Shoot, yeah.
this is your opportunity. If there's ever anything I can do, you call me, and I'm there, man.
Well, I want you to come out to my little Twangerlaw out there sometime soon.
Twangerlaw.
Come out and
man.
hang with me in my little place.
Man,
and
I know it's awesome.
We'll drag out some guitars and go eat and have a big time. But you got to promise me you'll do it. So that's my only payback I want is you to come out.
All you got to do is call me, dude.
And come out and hang with me. So you've been out there. It's been a while. But
It has been a while.
You've been out. So.
Yeah, I have. No doubt about it. So before we go, we got one more song that we picked out that is on a Brian White. Brian White's newest CD that he has recorded. It's called Dust Bowl Dreams.
Yep, and it talks about his grandfather and his grandfather's father were auctioneers and rodeo, I guess, in the rodeo circuits and the auctioneers and all that. But anyway, this song is dedicated. This whole album's dedicated to his grandfather, who I knew. I knew his grandfather. When I used to play around Oklahoma City, Brian would come out and bring his grandpa would bring him out to my shows. He was about 14.
He's got him on there.
Yeah, he's on there.
Song.
Yeah, you can hear him. He's got him on that song, and it's awesome.
That is him. Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, this album. I know Brian worked on this album for about a year. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to do a song with him. We did a duet on this album called Hands of Time that I wrote with Bob DePiro. And I told Brian, I said, well, that's apropos that we do a song about being late for everything, because me and you both are late for everything we do. So we did this song together. And I love Brian. He's a great guy and a great artist, a great friend. And
I think there's even a line on there where they ask you, what time is it? You go, or something, you got a clock, and you go, what's a clock?
A clock, what's that?
What's that?
What is that?
Oh, that's good stuff.
Anyway.
So we'll play this on our way out here, but it's a great song on Brian's newest CD, which you can find at brianwhite.com, I might add. Friends, you've been listening to the Dana Williams Show. Right here on DanaWilliamsShow.com, and I truly hope you have enjoyed this, because this has been one special time for me, having Steve Wariner here.
Thanks,
the great Steve Wariner. Man. Oh my gosh.
I love the way you say
He
that.
is in the house, man. Bless his heart. I love him.
I love
Y'all
Dana.
listen
Thanks
to
for
this.
having me.
All right, man.
Down the interstate, coffee dripping down my leg. Every day I'm running late, getting slapped around by the hands of time. Come on, Steve.
Next lane there's a pickup, a girl putting on her makeup. Her cellular phone's starting to break up. She's getting slapped around by the hands of time.
Everybody's running getting late like me. Whole world's running behind. Can't seem to get where we need to be. Getting slapped around by the hands of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Man, that'll happen to you.
Alright.
Here comes a carpool. Mama's got her hands full. 6 kids all late for school. They're getting slapped around by the hands of time.
Just past the governor's motorcade. Must have had a flat tire on the way. I guess everybody's got a way when you slap around by the hands of time.
I know that feeling.
Well, everybody's running a little late like me. The whole world's running behind. Can't seem to get where we need to be. Getting slapped around by the hands of time. world's running a little late like me. The whole world's running behind. Can't seem to get where we need to be. Slapped down by the hands of time. Hey Steve, what time is it?
Eastern Standard Warner time.
Guess I'm just gonna have to set my watch 15 minutes fast.
Watch? What's that?
You know, it's like a clock.
I got one for Christmas, but I don't know where it is.
Hands of time. Slapped around by the hand.
I ever told you sound just like Brian Ryan?
Man, I get that all the time.
That's all for this week. Listen next week for more great music and celebrity conversations. And don't forget to check the archives for a show you might have missed of The Dana Williams Show.